In the stick show, actually in Bad English, I started playing, as I was saying earlier, I started playing 5-string active basses. I started playing active basses before that. Not exclusively, though. In Bad English, I pretty much exclusively switched over to active basses, because active basses, they hum less, they just seem to be a little tighter. I love passive sound, and I have an arsenal of wonderful old instruments. So guys, I'm not saying just play active basses or 5-string. I'm not saying that. And I don't just play with my fingers, I play with a pick. I love the sound of a scraping pick on the strings. I mean, guys, I mostly see pictures of me playing with my fingers, but they don't realize I'm switching. Sometimes in one song I'm switching back and forth. So I'm not a guy who's a purist in any direction. I just want to do what sounds the best for whatever the situation is. And bass wise, in sticks I'm playing predominantly 5-string active basses. I started doing that in Bad English because with keyboard predominant bands, like both of those bands are, or I don't know about predominant, but keyboards are big in both of those bands. When the keyboard player goes down to a low D or B or C, and I can't, that upsets me. So I like having that 5th string to jump down there and get in the party. But I am playing a couple passive basses. I'm playing a 77 Rickenbacker on Great White Hope with sticks, and I have a Nash. Bill Nash made me a reverse headstock Burgundy Mist Telly. It's got like a 50s profile neck, but more of this. If you took a 68 Telly bass and you put white binding on it, that's the body, and it's just a cool sounding bass. And I'm playing that on Superstars with sticks. And in the Babies I played 78 Telly basses almost all the way through, except the very end I recorded Kramer bass, strangely enough, when Kramer wasn't even really cool yet. But I had this old, it was ugliest bass ever, but it sounded really great, and it just like had that piano wire sound. It had the metal neck, but with the wood inserts, not the entirely metal neck. And I found a way. Our producer was Keith Olson, and he found that if we just rolled back 2 notches on the volume, this distortion that was kind of inherent with those basses went away, and we would just adjust for it on the console, and we just got a radical tone. It was a great tone, and I ended up playing that bass about the last year. And I still played the 68 Telly bass because it was on Midnight Rendezvous and a lot of big songs, so it was appropriate for those songs. But I don't know. And that's an active bass. That's right. That was the first active bass I guess I played with the Babies. I played SVTs in the Babies. I bought. There was a band called Detective, and when that band split up, I bought the SVTs from them. I'm trying to think what vintage. They would have probably have been early to mid 80s SVTs, and they just sounded wonderful. I wish I still had them. In the Babies, we had all of our stuff, even our Marshalls, even our piano was covered and Tolexed in white. That was a great look, and they were rocking looking Ampegs in white. I don't even remember what happened to them. But now I'm playing SVTs. Go figure. I switched over, I played other things, and I realized every time I would get something, I thought, in my mind, I was said, as long as it sounds like my SVTs, I don't care what it is. So after chasing these sounds around forever, which I think every bass player always does, you get these incredible sounds, and you change it, and then you hear a recording of yourself from 5 years ago, and you go, oh my God, why did I change that? That was the sound I've been looking for. But it's I think for most players, probably guitar players as well, it's always, you're chasing something. You're always chasing, trying to find something and reinvent the wheel. But SVTs have been good to me. They really give me a great fundamental, good place to start with. But I have played other things. I've played Carvin's. I played Carvin's solid state heads in the late 80s. That I have a couple friends of mine say they think that was the best sound I ever had. Go figure. I was playing 412 bottoms with these big old solid state heads. They were probably 400 watt heads, and I don't know why, but they just sounded great. I'm not saying I don't know why because they were carbon. I'm saying I don't know why because they were solid state. I don't want that to be misinterpreted. The carbon stuff was great. And then I switched to what did I switch to? I can't remember what I switched to, but it was the same thing. I was just trying to make them sound like my SVTs. So in the end, I think I bumped into somebody at St. Louis Music who was resurrecting the SVT in the late 80s, and they said, do you want to play SVTs again? And I said, absolutely, and went back to playing SVTs, and that's what I'm doing to this day. I'm playing the VR, the vintage reissue heads, which really sound great. They sound as close as I've found to my old SVTs. And another thing I'm doing with sticks is I'm not using the bottoms anymore. I'm running into Palmers. So I'm just taking a load off the heads, and it's the truest sound of an SVT head without it being interpreted by a microphone and placement in a room and all kinds of crazy stuff that happens on the road. My cabinet kept getting shoved in a corner someplace or underneath the stage or someplace out of the way where it wasn't getting in the drum mics, and more often than not it would be a place that wasn't really beneficial to my tone. So I saw that Def Leppard, we were out Def Leppard, and I was talking to those guys, and that's what they were doing. And the guitar players sounded so good. I mean, it's like a real true, their Marshall heads sounded like a real crunchy, great Marshall. And so I tried it, and now all of us, JY, Tommy Shaw, we're all using Palmers. I should say 1968 Tele basses I've got 5 of them. They're just about my favorite bass. If I was on a desert island, I would take my 68s, one of them anyway. They're just a cool, cutting edge rock and roll bass, but you can also warm them up. You can do all kinds of things with that little pickup. It's a mighty, mighty little pickup. It does a lot of things and has great tone. And just the design from the 50s body style being resurrected again in '68 was a cool thing.